Hi, I'm Amy Oscar, and some people have asked me to do a video kind of talking about reading and talking about a soul call card reading that I did on Facebook and posted also on Instagram called A Message from the Grace Mother. So, what I'd like to do, I know it's weird to just read while I'm on video, but I'm just going to kind of read it, and if things come to mind, I'll kind of riff on that as well. So here's what happened. Um, I was sort of wondering, I was looking for um, a more mythic, symbolic way of holding what's happening in the world with the coronavirus and also with the quarantine. Um, More mythic and symbolic than, of course, than what we're getting from the TV news, right? And that's not their point of view, right? So it's mine. And I thought maybe I could offer something to the conversation from that symbolic point of view. So from that place, I asked for a reading, and I asked, give me a message about or from the coronavirus. And I started to shuffle the cards, and instantly, as soon as I asked the question, 11 cards jumped out of my hand. Now it takes 9 cards to do a full soul call card reading. And by the way, if you don't know what soul call cards are, they're my cards that I developed with my own guides. This is the card I just pulled from the deck about doing this video. So essentially, I'm going to say, I'm offering the blessing of this reading to you as it was offered to me, through me, for you. But also, thank you for the blessing of your showing up to what? To listen to what I have to say. Right? We're exchanging a blessing. So that's how the cards work. So 11 cards leapt from my hands. 9, just the right number for a reading, scattered across the floor. 2 fell on the cover of Carl Jung's Red Book, which happened to be sitting on my desk. I had been looking at it earlier in the day. And so the Red Book is a masterwork. It's Carl Jung, the founder of depth psychology's life work. Scholars have been studying it ever since it was released a few years ago, and it's an enormous red book, which is why I did the reading on its cover, as you can see in the image of the reading. That's on the cover of the red book. So the fact that 2 cards landed there was kind of like a pointer to me that we were going into the sort of Jungian perspective that life is. Let me read you what I wrote. Essentially, just like in a soul call card reading, everything counts. Everything that happens around you, the way the cards behave. Often a card or 2 will fall from the deck, and we include these volunteer cards in a reading with the understanding that every reading is an interaction with a field of living intelligence inside of which we dwell. So that's the kind of this Jungian point of view, the depth psychology idea that, and also it's the view of the shamans and the native cultures of all continents, that we live in a responsive living universe inside of which we dwell as if in a dream. Right? So in this reading, every card was a volunteer. The reading literally made itself. It was out of my hands, which told me this was a force was working with me. And soon into it, we discover that force was the Grace Mother, which I'll describe to you in a moment. So the Red Book points our attention toward dream language and symbolism, right? So in a dream, if you're driving a car along a road, the car is a symbol of something. Maybe it's a symbol of your body. Maybe it's a symbol of your life path, the journey that you're on in your life, right? So that's what I mean by interpreting things symbolically. So from this perspective, events in the world around us, like things on the news, like a virus that has sent us all home, right, um, can be interpreted, can be read as part of a collective dream. And when we pay attention, we notice the dream images that are always emerging around us and speaking to us on deep levels of the psyche, the individual psyche, the me, the sense of me, my psyche, but also the collective psyche, which we all participate in together. So you could say the collective dream that we all dream together. So, from that perspective, what might the quarantine and coronavirus, this dream of that, of a force of nature, forcing us into our homes under quarantine, telling us wash your hands, don't touch your face, don't go out of the house. Also, this sense of a threat outside. Also, just the simple fact of, what's a virus, right? So, what might all of that have to tell us? So, let's find out. So, the reading is held inside of two frames. So, if you look at the reading, you'll see that around the inside of the 9 cards, 4 cards create a diamond, and a square rather. Forest, voice, grace, and mother. So think about forest, voice, grace, mother, which represents the world of nature. This tells us that as we go through this crisis, we are held in the solid, earthy embrace of the mother, of Mother Earth, of Gaia, right? The goddess of the earth, the planet itself, the living being that is nature. And also held in the embrace of the natural world. We are part of the planet. And right now the planet is going through a whole world event together. This is the first time that's happened in history, right? So hold that in your awareness as I read you the interpretation. The outer frame of the reading came out as egg, weight, as in heaviness, weight, W-E-I-G-H-T, hold, and sensation. And that represents the current situation that we're in. Nature, the Grace Mother, has placed the entirety of humanity, the egg, the world, on hold. In a sensation of a cessation of sensation, you could say. We can't go out. We can't enjoy a restaurant. We can't meet with friends. We can't enjoy a glass of wine in a restaurant, right? So we're forced back into the sensational experience, sensory also experience of being with ourselves. Right. Also, this is a sensational, so there, each word may have several meanings, right? So this is a sensational, enormous event. So it's a sensational hold. Like, could you have imagined this on January 1st of this year? Of course not. This is a big deal. We are suspended in time, sent to our rooms by nature herself. A virus is a natural event, right? It's not political. It's not extraterrestrial, right? It's happening out of nature, the nature of the human body interacting with our environment. So we are suspended in time, sent to our rooms to witness the sheer power of her authority, the weight of that, and also of her responsiveness, which you'll see in the reading. As I received this powerful message, I realized I was listening to the voice of the Grace Mother, the sacred feminine, all of her imagery, right? So, without further ado, This is what she has to tell us based on the reading. It's time to break the glass. This is an emergency. Breaking the glass. This is an emergency. So she's saying that's it. We're at a breaking point. It's time to break the glass and reclaim what was stolen from you and from me. Your connection to the sacred forest. So she's saying, it's time, this is an emergency, time to break the glass, desperate measures, desperate times require desperate measures, right? So, time to break the glass, reclaim what was stolen, your connection to the voice of the sacred forest. Listen, she says, listen, I am here, and you can't hear me. And we're going to start to repair that now together. She's going to bring us into a quiet time. So far, a month, 2 months now in the United States of sitting down and sheltering in place. She says, I am the source, the well. I am the Grace Mother. All sensation, all movement, and all of life flows from me. That's the well at the center of the reading. It's also symbolically the well at the center of the world. Right? She says, I have called this break in the pattern to reclaim what was stolen, your connection to the song of the Grace Mother as I move through the trees, through the grasses, and through your own body. Come home. Come home. Return to the well at the center of the world. You know the way. You know the way. Sense toward it now. She's saying you've always known the way. Sense toward it. Listen until you can hear me speaking directly to you. You do not need a priest, a prophet, or an interpreter. You know the language of forest and stream, and again, of your own body. Your own body is made by nature, supported by nature. You are part of the natural world. You know this language. You have only forgotten. I have stopped the world so you can remember. With this virus, I steal back your attention to me, to the Grace Mother. Right? Not me, Amy, me, the Grace Mother, nature. I steal back your attention. I steal back your time. I steal back your senses. I return them to you freely, gifts from the Grace Mother. They are yours. They are already yours. They've always been yours. I steal you back for myself. The Grace Mother steals you back from the world behind your screens and towers, the world behind your windows, back from the voices that would break your connection to me as they speak from behind that glass. So she's referring to the television, right? She's referring to the phone that we all ubiquitously hold in our hands, right? I steal you back from that world behind the glass. And again, remember, she opened this reading with, it's time to break the glass, right? Now, she's not saying it's time to kill all technology. She's saying it's time to come closer to her, right? She steals you back from the world behind the glass that's captured your imagination. You can go there. Of course you can go there. But some of that imagination needs to flow to her. You need to become aware of the imaginal realm that you live, sort of inside of which you live, the dream of the world around, the real world around you. back from the voices that would break your connection to her and to yourself. You are an aspect of her. The promise of her grace, and she says, of my grace, was never broken. Yet I feel your pain of separation from me, even as I am right here. You have imagined that you are separate from me because that's what you've been told. You've been told that human beings are separate from nature and that we're supposed to have dominion over nature, when in fact we are nature. And we are held by nature. She's our mother. I feel your pain of separation from me even as I am right here, an egg enclosing you, supporting you, and holding you every moment of your life. I am life itself, she's saying. And I am right here beneath your feet, supporting you and surrounding you with sustenance. Only the glass of illusion divides you from me. Break the glass and unbreak your addiction to holding life behind cold glass. Sense toward me with your eyes, with your ears, with your bare feet on the spring soil. Listen, listen, the birds are singing. Listen, the trees are whispering your name and mine. Sense into the reality, the weight of your own connection to this world. Yes, you have sensed the tipping of the scales, the feeling that something is breaking, and I know that you're afraid, and I know you've lost faith in the promise of sustenance. Will the world end? Is there time to save it? And I tell you, the mother forest has always been here to sustain you. All that has been stolen is your awareness of this truth and your attention to that truth. And so I have used the smallest leverage, the tiniest particle, to stop the world and call you home. This is the power of the Grace Mother, who with the smallest particle, a virus is a tiny particle, steals through the world, crossing all man-made boundaries to infect and disinfect the human world. And I'm not talking about cleansing, like social cleansing, ethnic cleansing. When I talk about disinfect here, what she's talking about is the idea, disinfecting the idea that you are separate from her. That's all. Also, disinfecting the idea that you are separate from each other, as she will now explain. You are already responding to my call. Already you work together across boundaries to heal yourselves, heal one another, and heal your world. The virus calls you home to your true nature. You are all creatures of one forest. You are all creatures of one forest. Come home to the well inside of you, and the well you all share, the well of your community. Work together as one world now, a collective humanity, each and every one sourced from the same well. You are a forest of grace. You are a forest of grace. Imagine yourself as a tree in a forest of grace, or a bird flying from tree to tree, or a vine, or an animal in that forest, or a butterfly. It doesn't matter. You are all that. You are a forest of grace. And you are all sustained by the same Grace Mother. wellness. Remember, well is at the center of this reading. Well, the well of grace, the well of life, but also wellness, the wellspring from which all healing rises. Wellness is right here, and all medicine has always come from the forest. She's saying all medicine is natural medicine and rises from the earth, from the things of the earth. Did you know that? Every medicine you take, even if it's not an herbal medicine, starts out as something made by the earth, a bark, a stone, a mineral, a liquid, a plant, even an animal. Know that. All medicine has always come from the forest. The forest holds the answer to this question, the solution to this problem, as it always has, as it ever will. You are that forest now. She's calling us into a one world, one forest community to work together, and we already are. Right? She's naming what's already happening as a result of this virus which rises from her in response to what's happening in our world. It's time to break the glass. Listen, she says, I will always guide you. Listen, listen, and know your connection was never broken. I am here. And you can ask for a sign that she's here. If you're feeling doubt, if you feel afraid or depressed or even grief-stricken by what's happening right now in the world, ask for help. She's here and listening and always will be. The last two lines of the reading, the center will hold. There's a well at the center that has always supported and always will support you and will support us and the world. All will be well. All will be well. So that's my reading from the Grace Mother, and I hope it was of use to you. If you have questions about this and you'd like me to answer them, you can shoot me an email at amy@amyoscar.com. If you want to continue this kind of conversation, I invite you to join my mailing list. I write a newsletter called Field Notes. Everything's free. And I run for the duration of this self-quarantine, at least, and perhaps beyond. We'll see how it goes. I'm running a twice weekly salon, a conversation on Zoom, where people come and we talk about what's happening and how you're feeling, and maybe I offer, a new way of thinking about all of this, mythically, symbolically. Mostly we come together to hold one another and be together and be held by her. So I invite you to that as well. And you can just subscribe to my email at amyoscar.com. Thank you for listening.